Hi guys, welcome to our special feature of the living room. I'm really excited and I'm very glad to have Nia and Shin with me on the show today to share about their story of a miracle baby in this time. I think really what we need during this pandemic, where we always hear about disaster and all this discouraging thoughts and depression, everything is going on. What we really need to hear is a miracle story, a story that offers hope and a story that gives us encouragement that we can always get what we want if we just hold on to our faith and trust in God. So I'm just going to let Nia and Shin introduce themselves. Welcome to the show, Nia and Shin.
Thank you so much, Yvonne. So great to see you, and hello to all the listeners around the world and the audience in Singapore. We've always wanted to go to Singapore, so that's on our bucket list. My artistic name is Nia Lyte. My birth name is Carolina Manrique, and my married name is Carolina Manrique Koyamada. So just call me Nia. I'm originally from Colombia. We live here in Los Angeles. We've been married for 16 years. Yes, and we are so excited, to be here. I'm the president and co-founder of the Koyamada International Foundation, KIF. And we have, a nonprofit organization. That's what I dedicate my life to, empowering women around the world. And now during the pandemic, trying to help as many people as we can. And we have different chapters all around the world, in Japan, Colombia, Brazil, Africa, everywhere. And this is my husband and our baby that we're introducing ourselves.
Hi, and they get to see, oh, he's so cute.
Hello, everyone.
Oh, he's a happy baby, smiling.
He's comfortable sitting here. So yeah, my name is Shin Koyamada. I'm originally from Japan. I've been in the US for 21 years. Today actually marks my 21st year of my staying in the United States. And I've been in the movie business, acting in the movie The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise back in 2004. I've been on Disney Channel for a while in the US, and I have many fans in Singapore as well. And very excited to share our life story about this little boy.
And you can introduce yourself. This is your first interview.
Yes, I am so proud to have your first interview. Oh, wow, so cute. And do you guys just want to share a little bit story about, maybe it'll be interesting to also know about how you guys met as well.
Yes, so we met in Alabama, which is in the south of the United States. I was there as an international student learning English, and then I was working for a news channel. Shin was there filming a movie, Constellations, and then we just happened to be on the set. We met. It was love at first sight. And I knew I had found my soulmate and the person that God had for me. And we dated for probably 8-9 months, long distance. So he will get in a plane every 2 weeks to go see me and send me flowers like every week and Hello Kitty gifts. And then we got engaged and we got married within a year. And then I moved here to Hollywood, to Los Angeles. And yeah, that's how it happened.
That's so sweet. I mean, and you guys have been married for about 16 years.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. And how long have you been trying to have a child actually after your marriage?
So we started when I was 37. I'm 43 now. I know a woman never reveals her age, but I think
you don't look your age.
I think it's so important for women to know, because there's so much stigma and stereotyping that, if you have a baby in your 40s is because you waited too long or all these things, right? But I actually started my journey 36, almost 37 years old, that we decided, we were in a place ready to have babies. And so we've been trying for 5, almost 6 years.
find out that there was problems in conceiving like straight away, or how long did it take before you realized that this is not happening?
Yes. So I remember when I was around 36, 37, mother-in-law, Japanese. I love Okasan so much. And since I turned 30, she was already like, I would say, what do you want for Christmas? A baby, like a grandchild. So this is huge in Japanese culture, especially because my husband is the oldest son. And this would be the first international baby in the family, because everybody's Japanese from that side. And then from my side, there's some international couples. But we were really, she was really, okay, the longer you wait, the more difficult it's going to be, which she was absolutely right. And so the doctor said, try 6 months natural. If nothing happens, then you cannot waste any time at your age. You have to go and see a fertility specialist. So we waited 6 months, nothing happened. Siobhan, honestly, in my head, I really thought it was going to happen like this. And so many people told us, no. Some people, it takes 2 years, it takes 1 year, it takes 3 years. You never know how long it's going to take, but that was part of our journey and, what we had to go through as a couple. So when nothing was happening, we went straight to the fertility doctor. They did all kinds of exams. He was great, perfect, everything good. I was the one with the problem because of my age. So my AMH was low, which is like a hormone that they measure to see how many eggs you are producing. So I really was like, oh my God. So what does this mean? So they were like, well, that you gotta go straight to hormone therapy or IVF. And so my chances of conceiving a natural pregnancy, having a natural child, were 2%.
Was very low. And that must have been so emotionally draining for you. Don't say about like physically, it's emotionally draining as well, because there isn't like a guarantee, and the percentage is so low. So whatever treatments or whatever that you're going through, right, it must have been, I mean, I can just imagine like, going through the whole process and every time seeing that negative sign, you might feel like, oh, okay, this might be happening right now. I've missed my period. So, and then you look at that negative sign and it must be really, really tough going through that again and again. I mean, I can just imagine, what must it be like for you during that time? Must be really hard.
It was so hard. I think it was the most difficult time in our marriage as a couple, because we really wanted a baby. And then I felt so guilty, right? Like, oh, it's my fault because I waited so long. Maybe I should have done this when we got married in our 20s. So as women, we carry so much in ourselves, and I blame myself. So that was something else that I had to live with, and to learn how to work on forgiving myself. Hey, it's okay. This is what I chose as a woman, as a married woman, and very grateful that my husband supported me all those years in traveling the world, pursuing my career, talking to the United Nations, doing a TED talk, everything that I wanted, right? He was, yes, go for it, honey, go for it. Never really pressure me, to give him children or to have children until I was ready. But it was very difficult because I did 2 hormone stimulations, and then I did 4 times IVF, and then I had a miscarriage at 6 weeks. So it was very difficult because in total was 5 years of treatment, and it was 6, treatments in total, if you count everything. And then I was like, God, give me a sign. If you don't want me to have children, then just take this idea from me and give me peace. And then boom, I got pregnant naturally. And then boom, 5, 6 weeks later, I had a miscarriage. So I had a crisis in my faith. I had to make a decision, whether, okay, I'm praying, I'm a good person, which I'm sure a lot of the viewers and a lot of couples struggling think about, right? There is so many bad people out there in the world that are having children. And then when you are good, why don't you give me? I'm just asking for one, right? So then you have to make a choice. And then I feel it's a test in your faith too, as to are you going to go crazy and just lose it because you know it's so much going on with the hormones, with the injections, you know, the pressure of everybody having a baby, everybody starting a family. Then the Asian culture is very geared towards what's wrong with you? Why haven't you had a child if you've been married at that time for 13 years? Why haven't you given him like an heir to the throne? Right? Like all these things. So it was almost like, oh my God, like all of this coming from different sides. You have to be so strong spiritually to really continue, you know, in a healthy way and deal with all that stress. So then I got pregnant naturally. After 4 IVFs failed and 2 hormone stimulations. And then I had the miscarriage, and that was just devastating.
And I just wanted to ask Shin, because Nia, I mean, yourself, you come from a more Western culture, but for Shin, I mean, he must also have faced the pressure coming from a very, from an Asian culture, and also being the oldest son. I mean, that pressure must be really there for you, like, you know, in a way, like, I mean, not only from family, but also from relatives and from friends. I mean, we all get that in our Asian culture, right? When you're single, they ask you, when are you getting married? When you're married, they ask you, when are you having your first child? So it's, so how did you deal with that, being supportive of your wife, you know, helping her during this time where it's going to be like a really emotional time for her?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, as you know, it was a pressure from my parents. You know, my dad is oldest son, my grandpa was oldest son, so I come from the oldest son lineage, and I have a younger brother, but my parents were kind of, yeah, pressuring. So when I might see my grandson, because my parents are being pressured too, because their friends are having grandkids and they were not. And I was already past 30s, like, you know, mid 30s, and all of my parents had their grandson a long way before, because in Asian culture they have kids in earlier age. Nowadays people have kids later days, but different generation. My dad generation and my generation is very different too. So they were speaking from their generation, especially my parents are from a countryside of Japan, a city named Okayama, Japan. So they tend to have family kids much earlier than bigger cities. So it really depends on geologically too, like where you're from. And the people have kids earlier in the countryside and later in the bigger city. So that was one thing. And but I wanted to make sure that we were having a career too. Like I was having my career in the movie industry in Hollywood. She wanted to pursue her own things, and we didn't want to push. Didn't think about too much in the beginning when we got married, because we were basically focusing on our career. And you know, we heard that having a baby will change our lifestyle. I mean, so but in the meanwhile, we were getting the pressure. I was getting pressure from my parents, my relatives, friends. You know, my friends are having babies, my parents are being pressured, and my grandparents are dying. So when can they see their grandkids? So, and I'm oldest son, so they're worried about uh, passing on the legacy to next generation. And so yeah, so we had a pressure from the Japan side and Asian culture. But in the meanwhile, I moved to the United States to pursue my career. So I want to make sure that things are moving forward and things are getting done before we commit to a family. But also, we didn't know that, you know, the later we wait, the more difficult it gets to have a baby. I think this is kind of a message to younger generation. If they think about their career and think that everything will be okay to have a baby later, that's not how we are made as a human beings. So now with the thankfully now with the technology like IVF and other stuff, but that's not that doesn't guarantee you to have a baby. So yeah, it was very difficult to maintain getting pressure from the parents and also pursuing our own career.
I like that you shared that as well, because a lot of people just, because of the technology we have these days, we just put it, we just put it at the back of our mind thinking that it's not really important. But there's always this saying that sometimes when you really want something, that's when it never happens for you. Because we always don't we feel that when the time comes, when the time is right, oh, everything will just fall into place. But I think there is a minimal possibility that sometimes it happens. But in your journey after going through all this medical tests and all that, and while y'all were pursuing it, what made you guys actually move into spirituality, like trying to see, where did the faith come in after that?
So the doctors, we saw the top fertility doctors, like here in LA, the movie stars and everything. So I was, oh, great, then I'm going to get pregnant, because they're science people, right? Everything is about the science. Mm-hmm. So they said by age 40, I was 36, 37 by then, I had 70% chance scientifically, with IVF to get pregnant. It didn't happen. Then once you reach 40, that percentage goes down dramatically. And then only 2% chance of getting a natural pregnancy with a biological child. So I've always been spiritual all my life. I was raised in Colombia, Catholic. And, so my mother is a big devoted of baby Jesus and Virgin Mary. So I did, my first communion, baptism, everything. Shin was raised, a different way in Japan, but he has always been spiritual too. So when we got married, the Catholic priest couldn't marry us. So we had to find a multicultural Christian priest that could marry us, as long as we believed the same, right? As long as we believed in God, as we believed in Jesus, and as we believed in miracles and, like the same spiritual belief. But, in Asia, Buddhism is huge. So, it's everywhere in all the shrines and it's part of the culture. It's not so much as a religion, but the spirituality in Japan is really carried throughout the culture. And so we did, we've always been spiritual from the beginning. And that's something that really attracted me, from my husband, because I was, he's so zen and so calm and so peaceful. And, compared to other people, very, very kind. Asian culture is so kind, right? And then, and then, but what really geared us towards the prayer was, it was a lot of stuff, but it's really long, for this interview. So I'll try to make it as short as possible. A friend of mine, a very good close friend, said that she had her friend in Romania that was 43. She had been praying for a baby and the miracle happened. She got pregnant and she had her baby. So she's a Christian, Orthodox Christian, and she explained to me, maybe you need to pray with your husband together, because it takes two to make a miracle. And in Matthew 18:19 says, wherever the two of you or more shall gather together and ask anything in my name with faith, it shall be done. It doesn't say one, it says two. So I really didn't get it until she explained to me. So it's so important to surround yourself with good friends. She was with me throughout the entire process of the 5 years and the IVF. And she never doubted that I was going to have a baby, that God was going to give me a baby. So she said, I think it takes two. Start praying with your husband together and ask for an intercession. Even if the divine plan was for you not to have children, when you knock that door and pray, something opens up in heaven. And then things that were not possible with men, that the doctors are still puzzled, anything is possible with God and the power of prayer. So we had been praying for 1 year, but then after the miscarriage, that was it. So that happened in September of 2019. We went to China and Japan and Hong Kong for a movie for my husband when the pandemic was starting at the end and beginning of 2019, beginning of 2020, we were in China. And then I met another friend there, a Japanese friend that is Shintoist and Buddhist. And she said, oh, I prayed to baby Jesus and Virgin Mary. And I did one more, the IVF treatment. And here is my daughter. And she had been trying 10 years with 10 failed IVFs. So she told me, don't give up, Nia. Keep praying with Shin and you'll get your baby. So in March of the pandemic, I joined a Christian local group of Beverly Hills and here in Los Angeles. And it's 8 to 12 women. Most of them are doctors and nurses, and they are Christians. And we start praying for a miracle and for a natural pregnancy. And then my husband and I start praying every day since March together. And I got pregnant 3 months after naturally. And here he is.
Wow, that's amazing. I get sometimes God times things so differently. And I really like the fact that you had the right friends to keep you going in your faith journey. I think faith itself, right? It's very hard when you have to go through it alone. And sometimes when you're believing God for a miracle or for a breakthrough, right? You want to surround yourself with the right people who can keep praying for you, can keep encouraging you to not give up. And it was really thankful that you had that two friends who came and supported you and with their own stories and said that don't give up, because they were actually standing in faith with you and they were actually, calling it forth, that miracle that you wanted to see in your life. And it's so amazing that, that process was shortened, that restoration came, and it was in such a short process of time. I mean, God was so faithful that he didn't make you wait for another 3 years, but he made it come to pass in a very, very short process of time and with such a healthy baby, because we also know that women conceiving naturally in their late 30s, there's always complications in the pregnancy.
Yes, no complications, everything perfect. The only thing is that I gained 70 pounds, but I already lost 58. So I have maybe 20 pounds more to go. That was the only thing, but everything perfect. I didn't have everything perfect with our baby, but we were praying every single day during the pregnancy that our baby will be healthy, that we will have all the ultrasounds, all the exams that they do to you because of a high risk pregnancy. But we've seen miracles all over the world, through our foundation, because we've traveled all over and we've seen, women in some countries that have no access to medical care, no access, to the best doctors in the world. And because of that, so much death mortality, when women give birth. I mean, so many things, that as a mother and as a woman, you worry about when you get pregnant. But we didn't have those problems being, in such a beautiful country and being so privileged and blessed, to have access to the best healthcare, at my age as well.
And what were your thoughts when you all first learned of the pregnancy? Like when you conceived, I mean, what were the thoughts that were just going through your mind at that time?
Well, I remember I did the I was nauseated. I remember I was going to eat a French onion soup and I felt like I wanted to throw up. And that entire day, I was on the bed sleeping. And then I told my husband, sweetie, I think I'm pregnant. And he was, oh my God, again? Like he hears this every month, right? For 5 years. Oh, no, I think this month I'm really pregnant. So he was like, honey, hasn't even passed 1 week, so just wait, we need to wait at least 2-3 weeks. I said, no, I have a feeling I'm pregnant. He was like, you have that feeling every month. So that happened like on a Friday, Saturday, that I felt that the difference was the nauseating and that I didn't want to eat. And then I did the test and it was positive. And I was just in shock. I was, sweetie, we're pregnant. What? Make sure read the instructions. But then because we had a miscarriage before, then I didn't, like, I got my hopes really up, and then I kind of grounded myself the same, for my husband, because we were like, oh shoot, then what if something happens this time, right? And then that's when the prayer and the faith kept me going, that no, this time everything is going to be great. Then we got the confirmation with the blood exam, and your blood has to be doubling every 2-3 days. So everything was going great. But I really didn't believe it until I heard the heartbeat. When I heard the heartbeat, I waited, like, I think it was 10 weeks, 10 to 12 weeks. You could hear the heartbeat at 6 weeks, but I didn't want to, because I had, the miscarriage at 5-6 weeks. So I waited like 10, 12 weeks. And when we heard the heartbeat, that's when it was very real for me. I was just crying and crying. And the doctor was like, well, you have a very healthy baby.
And nowadays, at 10 weeks, you can do a blood exam and tell you exactly the gender of your baby, and if there's any Down syndrome of a baby. It's like a 99.9% accurate. So, you just like a blood drawing, and it will tell you exactly. So mentally, parents can prepare, especially for people in a higher age.
And you didn't let any negative thoughts, disturb you during this time? Like, you didn't think about like what something might be wrong, or what if this pregnancy would not go to full term? So you didn't have any negative thoughts during that time?
Oh yes, all the time. And the prayer group really helped me and my husband.
And also the pandemic too. He's gonna be born in the middle of the global pandemic. How is he gonna be in delivering a baby?
Yeah, that's true.
How is everything gonna change? The hospital is getting used to it. Are we having a room to deliver a baby, or are we gonna be put on hold because of other patients going through pandemic things? And so we have many things going on, but because of the pandemic, we're kind of put on hold everything we do. Like, we are so used to traveling all the time, and because of pandemic, we were kind of forced to stay in LA. So it was actually good in a way to relax and focus on the priorities that we need to focus on.
Yes, I was really worried, would my husband be allowed to be with me, because I can't do this alone, like, he needs to be there with me. And at that time, they were not allowing, like, we had many friends that had babies without the husband, because they would only allow the mother and the doctor and the medical team at that time. But thankfully, by the time that our son was born, they allowed us both. I mean, they allowed you to be there with me. So that was really good. But, oh, mi amor.
But friends are very, like, I think for a woman and a man too, I think it's important to be surrounded by right people who understand what you're going through, because your parents will never understand what's going on with you, in these times. Like, how come you can't? I just want my grandkids. What's going on? Is there something wrong with your husband or the wife? What's happening? Because they're being pressured socially too. Like, it's kind of a stigma. Having a baby later is not a good thing because of the complication that may cause, or is there something wrong with a man and woman? It's, people think in a negative way of having a baby at the later age. So I think it's changing in a way that we're all focusing on our career as well.
I think one of the main things too is that in Hollywood and all over the world, they always, when you're young, they sell you this thing, oh, you can have a baby in your 40s, don't worry. Like, this celebrity did it. And what they don't disclose is everything that went behind the scenes to have that baby, right? all the treatments, all the money, because the insurance doesn't cover. I think in some countries it does, but in some don't. So, we are very grateful and lucky and privileged that we were able to afford to do all those treatments, because many women don't have access to those treatments either. And, some women have to have surrogacy, because something is wrong with the uterus, or the fallopian tubes. There are so many things that come into play. Other women use donor eggs, and some women just go straight to adoption because they cannot carry a child. So I just feel so blessed to be able to carry my child and to have, 50% him, 50% me. Is something so special. But I think that when you're young, you don't really understand what they're really advertising. It's not like, oh, it's easy to do it. No, it's not. And my message to all the women out there would be, educate yourselves, right? We have a program with the our foundation, the Koyamada International Foundation, koyamada.org. We signed an agreement with the United Nations under the Agency of Sexual Health and Reproductive, it has to do with everything with the woman, United Nations Population Fund. And I think it's so important to educate women in, number one, your rights. Number two, when I was in my 20s, I had no idea that you can actually freeze your eggs. It's a very expensive treatment. Not all women, obviously, in that age can afford to do it, but I didn't even know about it. So I was very uneducated on reproductive issues. So if you're planning to have a family later on and you're planning to use any science or technique, the problem, is the quality of your eggs, right? So in your 20s, you have the best quality. So if you're thinking later on, to have babies, then I will suggest educate yourself and find out if that's maybe an option for you, right? I think the most important message is don't give up. We know what you guys are going through because we've been through it. So many couples don't make it. Many couples end up being separated because of the pressure that puts in a marriage. But I think that if I did everything. Siobhan, I did everything. You name it, I did it. I did acupuncture. I took horrible Chinese herbs. They tasted so bad. They were refrigerator, I took something to level up the AMH level, these Chinese herbs that came from a top doctor from Australia. I saw the top doctors in Colombia, top doctor, fertility doctor here. I did Tibetan bowl meditation. I did ancestrology. I think at that particular time, I kind of deviate from my faith and just staying focused on God and praying. I was so desperate to have a baby that I just went all the way out there. And what happened is none of those things worked. And then when the pandemic happened, all of that stopped. I couldn't go to the acupuncturist. I couldn't take Chinese herbs. I couldn't go to the meditation. I couldn't do this. I couldn't do that. It's almost like God removed everything so no one could take the credit. So nobody could say, well, it was the acupuncture. Or, you know what, it was the Chinese herbs. Or, you know what, it was the pandemic, because then your body relaxed and you stopped traveling. It was none of that. It was almost like God took everything away and he gave me the miracle of the baby, which even the doctors, top doctors here said, this is considered a medical miracle. At your age, with your history, it's a medical miracle that you got pregnant naturally and that you have a healthy son. So I made a promise. I remember one day I was on my knees and I was praying to God, to Jesus and Virgin Mary, because I'm Catholic, I believe in his mother, obviously. So, but I was like, God, Jesus, Virgin Mary, if you give me a baby, natural baby, I promise I will share this story with the world of this miracle. And I promise I will dedicate my life and my son, to you. I will not start doing all these other things out of desperation that I start doing. I think the only thing that I didn't do was maybe to go to the mountain of Machu Picchu in Peru If someone would have told me, stand in one leg, recite this and turn 3 times and you'll get pregnant, I would have probably done it. And the spiritual faith group that I have, we have a beautiful project, with the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles, because one of my friends, of the Bible group, is a nurse there. And we did this campaign, to raise funds to get mini iPads for the patients and the doctors there. But the Christian group, prayer group that we get together, we became friends through Zoom. And they were the ones that kept us going throughout the entire pregnancy, and praying, kind of like studying the Bible helped me to realize that having those fears are from the enemy, are not really from God. And when God blesses you with a miracle, he's gonna give you such a huge miracle that is gonna be perfect. There's not gonna be any loss.
Amen. I think God is really, his heart is always to bless people, and I like the fact that you shared that he took away everything. Like sometimes, it's easy for us to get carried away. So I think to have no distractions, right, and to have just your mind, just focused on him alone is probably what he wanted as well. Because I think he's already had that in his mind to bless you with a child, but he needed you to be at that right posture with the right heart, and just keeping your eyes on him. And also the fact, right, when I mean, for me personally, I believe when the Lord restores, he doesn't restore only with one child. There's more than one cases that I've heard personally, and I've seen stories that when they conceive after many years, it doesn't stop with one child.
I'm open.
He's a God of abundance, right? And when restoration comes, it always comes with, because there's verse that says that, he gives you, when he takes away your shame, right? He gives you a double for all the troubles that you have to go through. And I'm talking about in terms of your finances, in terms of your time, your energy, the emotional turmoil that you'll have to go through. So it's not only about just having the child, it's like really restoring everything that you had to go through during this couple of years, this time of waiting. And it's really thankful that you guys are actually sharing this story, and not really I can understand, coming from an entertainment industry, there are sometimes people they kind of tweak the words a little bit. So they would say, oh, it's a miracle baby, but they would not associate it with faith. They will be very reluctant to share that, oh, I prayed and God blessed me with a child. It's very hard, but for you, both of you, to come with that testimony, being open and vulnerable to share that, this is how our faith worked, and this is how we got our miracle child. I think that's really, really a testimony to share to people out there.
Yes, thank you, Shama. I think in entertainment industry is a little bit different. When I was younger, we started our company. We have a company too, where we produce video games, comic books, television, anime, movies, everything. And I remember, everybody would say, because Shin was, at the time, in his life where The Last Samurai had just come out. So he was in all the magazines, the television shows, everything. And I remember everybody would say, but you're not having kids yet, right? I mean, everybody would be like, okay, if you're going to have kids, then we won't make a movie with you or invest in your company, because then you're going to be focused on the kids and not on your work. I had many times and many people, business people and friends too, that told me, but you're not going to have kids, right? Because then you'll ruin your life. And I was like, whoa, you don't realize that until later on, what a blessing is to have a child that no money, no fame, no fulfillment in your career can ever give you. Only the blessing from God and your baby can fulfill that, right? It's nothing, that you've ever experienced before. You're like, okay. But, but also in many contracts, in a lot of modeling contracts, if you sign into a movie or a television series, especially at that time, they will have a clause there that you couldn't get pregnant, or they will terminate your contract. So So I think entertainment industry now is changing. A lot of celebrities, are working, whether it's pregnant or, I think one of the actresses filmed a movie and she was pregnant, but there is still that thing like you have to choose, right? Either you become a mom or you pursue your dream, which is not fair, because why can't you have it all? God wants you to have it all. Yeah. Have a family and have your dreams come true, everything.
And as we are coming to the end of the section, right, is there, do you all have a verse or a quote that you all live by? Like as a couple, is there something that you like hold on to that you would like to pass on to your son in the future?
Yeah, so a quote from the Bible or any quote?
And any quote.
Sweetie. Good ones.
I don't know, just keep going. Yeah, keep going. I mean, we're an entrepreneur and we all need to be a positive always, no matter what. So keep yourself, past is past, keep yourself look forward in a positive way.
For me, would be anything is possible with God.
Amen. Amen. That's so true.
That's another thing. Yeah, when I came to Hollywood, somebody told me anything is possible. Anything is possible. So anything you do, it doesn't matter what industries, anything is possible in the United States or anywhere. So keep it up.
Thanks so much for sharing. And as we are coming to the end of the show, right, do you all have any advice or anything that you want to share with the viewers out there, to couples out there maybe?
Well, for all the couples out there that want a baby, have faith that you will have your baby. Pray together. I think that is one of the main keys. Together with your husband. It takes two to make a baby, and it takes two to experience a miracle. And don't give up, no matter what the doctor says. Even if the doctor says you have 2% chance, I think God did many miracles back in the days, and he still does miracles every day. So believe in miracles, because miracles happen. And I think it's also very, very important for you to find your spiritual base and your spiritual tribe or family. Because when you are going through tough times, they will keep you going. They will encourage you. They will support you, and they will pray for you and help you. I don't think you can do it alone. You need that support, especially during a pandemic. And I think this pandemic has taught us a lot of what's really important. To me, what's really important in life is to put God first, to have a very, very happy and healthy marriage, and to have my son, and to have health. I think family is everything, and nothing else compares to it. So don't give up, please, and continue to believe that you will have your miracle. And we will pray for all the couples out there, for you guys to experience the joy and the blessing that is to have a baby.
Thanks so much, Nia. And thanks so much, Shin, for coming on board the show and for really sharing. And I think it's really encouraging. And I do hope that people who watch this and people who get to know about your story will always have hope and not give up. And they will just keep on going, knowing that one day they will have that miracle in hand, right? Like there was a time that one of the pastors that one of the sermons that I actually listened to, they shared this story, which was so practical for me. They say faith and waiting for your miracle is like standing in a queue. Like, for example, you're waiting for your coffee. The queue might be long, but at the end of the day, you're going to receive your coffee when your turn comes. So he said that, despite that long queue or that journey, right, just keep waiting, anticipating, and be expectant that at the end of the day, you are going to receive what you've asked for. And it's going to be even far better than what you have imagined.
Yes, definitely. Oh, Shin didn't share with you the samurai lineage of our son.
Wow.
You want to do it briefly? Do we have time?
No.
Yes, we should, yes.
Yeah, basically, briefly, yes. My ancestor were a samurai clan in southern most of Japan. This is something I found out later after the movie The Last Samurai, and I did my research. So he will be the first American samurai because I immigrated. He was born and raised here, so yeah. So that's one thing.
Wow, that's awesome. And I think that's like the first start, right? Like this baby is so special. I think, I mean, I can just imagine he's such a special baby, right? I mean, his birth is a miracle. And then, he has this special lineage. And I think God has given him so many things. There's going to be a lot of like, the talents, the abilities, and the gifts God has poured out of his life that you will come to see, as he grows up. And I really wish you both all the best. And I really pray and ask that God would also restore, whatever that you have lost, that that this shall not be the, one and only child, that, if that your desire is to have more children, that God will also bring forth supernaturally another child for you as well. Maybe a daughter would be nice, like one boy, one girl.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It would be great to have the couple.
Yeah,
But we're so
amazing.
grateful. We're so grateful with our son. So the best kids ever.
So enjoy the rest of your days, and I'm so happy to have you in the living room. So thanks so much for tuning in and sharing your journey with us.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you so
us.
much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye bye. He's sleeping.
Bye.
Bye.